So many of my clients who speak English as a second language come to me and they say, Paul, I need to work on my word endings. I'm so lazy with how I end words in English. Help me work on that. And I say, well, maybe not. It really depends on whether they're speaking about consonant sounds or vowel sounds. So in today's video, I'm going to explain to you the difference, and we're going to focus on one particular vowel sound where you should be lazier, and doing so will make you much more clear, much more fluent, much more natural. So let's jump into it. Right, so let's start off by talking about consonant sounds. Now, if a consonant comes at the end of a word in English, and the point is that happens very often, then generally speaking, very generally, it is a good idea to clearly pronounce those consonants that happen at the ends of English words. And you might struggle with this because there's a very high chance, because of the nature of different languages, a very high chance that your first language, if it's not English, will end words with vowel sounds way more often, and you'll want to get physically more familiar with the feeling, and you want to get into your habits more often closing off words with consonant sounds. And that is a good idea. That improves your precision of speech, it improves clarity. There are some exceptions. We could do a whole other video about how we end words with consonants, but generally speaking, it's a good idea to close off the ends of your words, the ends of your thoughts with those consonant sounds. If they are there, it's a good idea to utilize them and to pronounce them clearly at the ends of words. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about when you should be lazy. And if English is not your first language, then there's a good chance that you are not being lazy enough with what I'm going to show you today. So this series of videos, and it is a series, it's number 9 I think, has been showing you this particular sound called the Schwa vowel sound, which sounds like this. Lips are relaxed, it's very short, it's never really stressed. It's good for representing unstressed parts of speech. It's just hard to find, it's hard to spot. It doesn't have one particular spelling, it has many, and those spellings are not consistent. So the series has been showing you some spelling patterns, which I call memorable Schwa sets. All of them have a title to them to help you remember a whole set of patterns that contain, spelling patterns, which contain this Schwa vowel sound. So you can start to unlock hundreds of more words in your vocabulary when you're speaking with a lazier, what I call selectively lazy, a lazier sound as it should be. So today's set I call a dangerous wizard. And as always, the title of the set contains examples from that set. So words like dangerous, there are many of them with an OUS at the end, which is lazy. If it's dangerous, you might be nervous about doing it. You might feel anxious. Those words, and many like them, have a schwa sound at the end. So yes, I do pronounce the s at the end, the consonant, very clearly. It's there, I don't miss it out. But the sound that comes right before it is lazier. I don't say dangerous, dangerous, and nervous, nervous. I don't make that second syllable too prominent. Instead, I make it lazier, nervous, dangerous. It's lazy, and doing so will help your fluency and actually clarity. Clarity because we've talked about this in more detail in previous videos, but clarity because it lets you put the stress in the right place and it doesn't distract the listener from where it should be. Words like wizard. Well, wizard is a very non-standard job title, isn't it? Standard. I don't say wizard and standard. I say wizard and standard. And the job of a wizard is probably full of hazards. Hazards. Yeah, you hear that? Lazy word endings. So if you're a wizard, you mustn't be a coward. There are plenty of words in this set. I'll show you where you can find more examples on my website very soon in this video. But let's talk about one more pattern, which is would. Very similar to, of course, wizard. The ARD at the end in wizard. Here we have words ending in WARD. Most of those we would say, for example, forwards, backwards, upwards, downwards, sometimes with an S, sometimes not, but we don't tend to stress the woods bit. The woods bit is lazy, and instead I put the emphasis on the direction of travel, right? So forwards, for is stressed. Back, I'm traveling back, right? So back is stressed. Backwards. If I go sidewards, the side part is stressed. I don't say sidewards, sidewards. I don't distract the listener I'm speaking to with overemphasis on this part. I make it lazier. Backwards, sidewards. There's one exception to that, and actually that happens to be, that exception I'll show you, happens to be one of the most mispronounced words I see in my clients over the years. I've been doing this over 10 years now, and the word I'm going to show you in a minute is really commonly mispronounced, misstressed. I'll show that in a second, but let's do a few sentences first from the Dangerous Wizard set. Here we go.
I know she's famous for being generous with her time, but call me a coward. I'm nervous to ask. I'm curious about why you've labelled it a hazard. Is it really that dangerous?
So yes, forwards, backwards, upwards, inwards, outwards, but we say towards, to go towards the station. You hear that? I'm stressing the other syllable, the second syllable. If you think about it, the word towards, unlike all the other ones, doesn't have a direction of travel until you say what you're moving towards, right? So that might be why there's a difference. We have instinctively changed the stress and the pronunciation of that word to match that slight difference in meaning, maybe. Might be at least a good way to remember that, and a way to embody it, because of course if you want your pronunciation habits to stick, you need to have them in your body, not just in your head. So if you're moving towards something, you might want to use your body to get that feeling of forward, like you're leaning forward because the second syllable's stressed, leaning forward to the thing you're moving towards. Whereas forwards, backwards, you're emphasizing the direction of travel in your body. Imagine yourself, kind of rehearse yourself using those examples and the stress of those examples with those feelings of movement in mind. So towards. Now you might see in the Oxford Dictionary that actually you can apparently say towards, towards, which is weird to me. I don't recognize that. I've not heard anyone say it like that. It's probably an old-fashioned way of saying it that's kind of no longer in the canon of what standard British English speakers do, or what American English speakers do either, of course. So in Oxford it tells you that's one of the many options for pronunciation, but I just don't hear it. I hear some non-native speakers doing it, but I don't hear native speakers saying towards, towards, or anything like that. A good way for me to prove that, I suppose, and is a good resource as well for you to see if you don't know about it, is going on to youglish.com. I have no affiliation with them, but I find it very useful. Youglish.com, and you can search for any word or even a phrase in English, and you can hear clips of people using those in real videos from YouTube. And if you search for towards, you're going to hear consistently towards, or in American it would be towards, or even towards, something like that. Either way, the ords part is stressed, or the wards part is stressed way more in all the examples you'll see on Youglish. So there you go. It is the way that people say it these days. You know, you might want to take the Oxford Dictionary, that little edition of towards, with a pinch of salt. I wouldn't recommend it. So was that a surprise to you? The whole forwards, backwards, but towards thing. Are you now wondering, are there any other words in English that I've been misstressing or mispronouncing, being less clear with, and I had no idea about? Well, maybe that's true. If you want some personal help and some personal guidance so I can give you particular feedback, you can go to my website and I can help you personally with some coaching. Go to accent.coach for that. And on that very same website as well, you'll see a link in the description as well for the exceptions, along with the audio and the examples and the sentences from today's set. So if you want to see that, check out the link in the description. And finally, there will be more memorable Schwa sets coming very, very soon on this channel. So click subscribe, click on the bell notification icon so you don't miss out the next few videos. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.